Hello, everyone. As promised, I am here with you all, and I'm going to guide you all through some very interesting topics today. As we go through these extraordinary times, it is important to root ourselves firmly and aim to survive this literal storm. We hope humanity comes out of this stronger, kinder, and healthier. In fact, I'm very sure you all are going to come out much stronger and much wiser. No matter where we are located on earth, our work has got disrupted due to the COVID 19 crisis. In fact, after health and safety concerns, the deepest impact has been on our profession. While we all sit in the eye of the storm in a sort of an oasis, the reality is that we will move out one day and pick up the threads of our career once again. This disruption has given us a lot of time to think whether our career prospects, career trajectory, choice between self employment and job, choice of industry, and even the geographical location, has it paid off or not? So, are we finding ourselves vulnerable to risk? All these questions engulf our mind, especially now when the moon and Pluto are there together. In fact, I myself have been feeling very, very heavy since the past 2 days, and I know that this thing is going to come to its peak on the April 25th. In fact, I'll be very honest with you, I was wanting to skip the connect with you all today because I was feeling the energies of Pluto and the moon, and I was feeling a little meltdown. But at the same time, because I know that if I sit down and not do anything about it, chances are that I may further feel aggravated. So, and the best way was to connect with you all so that I can once again bounce back and feel good, because we need to learn how to distract ourselves. So, during these times, what to do? Times like these can be used for introspection and planning out the changes that you were too busy to make in the regular dim and frenzy of your career. It is known astrological and general life principle that a national or an international disaster like the World War II, 9/11 crisis, Mandal Commission, unrest, or 2016 demonetization in India affects the entire population as the nation's destiny takes over the individual destiny for a brief period, usually 4 to 6 months. Though for this disease, we have to be mentally prepared. Aftermath also, we need to be taking care. It is minimum going to take about 7 months. Now, once the global destiny gives way to the individual destiny, some people perish while most adapt and take themselves to greater heights with the challenges. Now, astrology, whether it is Western astrology or Vedic astrology, it can help you overcome, because the moment you become aware of what is happening, you actually, the repercussions seem much lesser and much lighter. Like even when today, when I got up in the morning, I did feel very, very heavy. I felt, in fact, lazy. I felt as if I really didn't want to do anything. And but I forced myself out. I forced myself to do my meditation, my yoga, forced myself to look into my notes. And in fact, once I started getting onto it, it gave me a much cheerful perspective. And that's exactly what even you all need to do. So you need to introspect, because astrology does help. Now, whether it's Western or Vedic astrology, it helps out you with whether this period and disruption is minor, or would this become a major trigger in your career. Whether your strategy would be or should be to target growth and stability during this period. Is a change in industry, employer, profession, or geographic location beneficial, or no change is the best policy? Is a move from job to business profession or business to profession to a job a better idea in the coming period? You need to work on all this. You need to write in your journals what is it exactly that you are looking for. How would your career move over the next 2, 5, 10, and 15 years? When can you expect your highest growth period professionally? Because once you answer these questions to yourself, what is it that you want? How are you going to achieve it? And why do you want it? Trust me, magic is something you can make it with the help of astrology. Well, all of the above can only be directly answered through your natal chart. But for today, since the atmosphere is actually very heavy, I'm going to tell you some of the interesting Vedic stories that talk about they talk about the planets, how they came into existence. There are small little stories which are metamorphical. Now, the astronomical facts of sun and moon is what I am going to discuss today. This is in regard to the Vedic astrology. Now, the basic astronomical facts about the sun. Sun, which is the largest body and a star at the center of our solar system, which is made of normally hydrogen and helium, and its average geocentric motion per day is about 00 degree 59. The sun never seems retrograde as it is stationary and located in center of our solar system, and all the planets revolve around it. One moment, I need to switch on my AC. It's really become very, very warm. The mind is warm, and one starts feeling that physically also the energies are actually very warm. Okay, now the sun in Hindu mythology. The sun god is the source of all life and energy that exist in the universe. In Hindu mythological, the abode of sun god is known as Surya Loka. And this sphere is next to the physical world or the Bhumandala. Sage Kashyap and his wife Aditi gave birth to Indra, Vishnu, Vivaswan, Mitra, Amusuman, Dhata, Twasta, Pusa, Varuna, Aryama, Bhagwa, and Savita. There were these 12 sons of Aditi who came to be known as the 12 Adityas. Lord Brahma selected Savita from these 12 Adityas and blessed him by saying, only he will be worshipped and all other Adityas will be merged in him. Now, but these 12 Adityas also exerted their force separately, which gave rise to 12 months, and each of them are said to rule over each of the 12 months. As a result of this, we have different seasons and climatic changes. The sun god's wife Sanjana was the daughter of Vishwakarma, the celestial architect. They had 3 children: Vaivasvata, Yama, which is known as the god of death, and Yami. Then Sanjana was having a tough time with sun, not because of any discord between them, but as sun's light was too strong for her. One day, Sanjana decided to go away from home, leaving in her place her body double, that is Chaya, which is known as the shadow. Now, for some time, Sanjana decided to go away from home, leaving in her place her body double Chaya. For some time, Sandhya lived with her father and then left it too. She took the form of a mare and went to the mountains to pray. Meanwhile, the son, being unknown of this fact, continued to live with Chaya, and she gave birth to 3 more children: Savarni, Shani, which later became the planet Saturn, and Tapti, which later became a river in India. After passage of some more time, Sun realized that Chaya was not his wife, and he went to look for her. He saw his wife praying in the form of a mare, and he turned himself into a horse and approached her amorously. This led to the birth of the horse headed twins, Ashwini Kumara, the celestial physicians, Ashwini and Kumara. Sanjana told her husband that this light was too strong for her, she still couldn't bear his light. Sun then decided to divide his light into 16 parts, each of which created different planets, including Earth, while the sun was left with 1/16th part of his original light, and Sanjana came back to live with the sun. Now, the sun's chariot is driven by Arun and has 7 horses pulling the chariot, known as Gayatri, Bharhati, Usnik, Jagati, Tristup, Anustup, and Pankati. These 7 horses are, metamorphically speaking, are the 7 colors which the sunlight consists of and is known as Vibgya. A powerful race of Hindu kings are supposed to be direct descendants of the sun god. This dynasty is known as Suryavanshi. The first king of this dynasty was Iskvaku, and later incarnation of Vishnu, Lord Rama, was born in this dynasty. Names mentioned for the sun in Hindu mythology are Ravi, praised by all, Aditya of the Aditi, that is inspirer, Surya, the supreme guide or the light, Bhanu, the shining one or the ray of light, Arka, the radiant, Bhaskara, the illuminator, Mitra, which is a friend, Mariki, which is, or Marichi, like they say, rays of light, starlight, then Sahasrasru, which is having 1,000 rays, Savita, the purifier, Pushan, the nourisher of all, Khag, the stimulator of the senses, Mihira, then Prabhakara, creator of shining light, Martanda, sprung from lifeless egg, Chitrabhanu, lord of the flames, Divakara, creator of the day, and Hiranyagarbhaya, having the golden womb, the creator. Now, these are the stories. Actually, if you rewind and listen to this story again, these all speak also about the attributes of the sun and what sun can do. So, in the Vedic astrology, that is how it came about, the astrological facts about the sun, which says the gender of the sun is masculine, sun is the karaka or the significator of the soul, sun as relationship signifies father, the planetary cabinet status of the sun is king, temperament of the sun is fixed and steady, element governed by the sun is Agni or fire. The directional strength of the sun is in the 10th house. The directional weakness of the sun is in the 4th house. Sun rules the zodiac sign Leo. Sun rules the zodiacal house, natural astrological 5th house. Sign of exaltation of the sun is Aries, and the sign of debilitation of the sun Libra is of the sun is Libra. In Libra, we become unaware of the potentials of the sun. What is the detriment or weakness of the sun? That is Aquarius. The sun's friends are Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. The sun's enemies are the Venus and Saturn. And sun is neutral with Mercury. Positive keywords for the sun are creativity, vitality, leadership, confidence, and generosity. The negative keywords we take as arrogance, cruelty, conceit, pomposity, and aggression. What are the professions that are governed by the sun? Any profession or employment having authority, command, and power. Generally, any service under government, but specifically high posts like department heads, envoy, ambassador, consul general, ministers, etc., employments in fields related to metals like gold, or even trading or manufacturing in textiles, goods, wood, and wooden furniture, traders of food, wheat, grains, pulses, and cereals. Careers related to being bankers, presidents, stock exchange, engineering, occupations involving children, and related to entertainment, amusement, and theaters. Service in the medical department, particularly heart and child specialists. So, if you ask me now, how do I know that these careers are okay for me? I would just put it plain and simple. At this particular moment, please hear me out, because you need to know where your ascendant is, and then seeing the first house, you need to know where your sun was placed, and whichever house it was placed, then you work accordingly. That okay, these are the careers that can be good for me. Now we come to moon. Well, the basic astronomical facts about Moon are it is the only natural satellite of Earth and only object in space visited by the humans. So, the moon in Hindu mythology, what does it say? The story goes is that the three supreme gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, disguised as monks, came to test Anasuya, the wife of Atri Rishi. He was a monk, and demanded that she feed them milk from her breasts. The great Anusuya, with her spiritual powers, got to know the truth and turned these three gods into babies and feed them as they desired. That's a moon plays with a lot of emotions. Immensely pleased and impressed with Anusuya, the lords of the universe blessed her to have great children. Shiva's blessings resulted in the birth of Dattatreya, and Brahma's boon caused the moon's birth. So the moon was then worshipped by all the celestials. He later married all the 27 daughters of Daksha, and there were none other than 27 constellations of nakshatras. Out of his 27 wives, Moon preferred only Rohini and always remained with her. Other 26 sisters pleaded the moon to spend equal time with all of them, but moon ignored them, and with no option left, these 26 sisters complained to their father, Daksha, who tried twice to reason with the moon, his son in law, but moon ignored it as well. Daksha then lost his temper and cursed the moon to suffer with consumption. Every day, the moon started to wane, losing his glow, and no remedy could cure him. The gods also got alarmed at the possibility life on earth will be affected without moon. They approached Daksha and asked him to modify his curse so that life continues on the earth. Daksha then modified his curse on the condition that Moon has to spend one day with each of his wives, and the consumption will affect him for 14 days, and in the next 14 days, he will gain back his form. Thus, the moon now waxes and wanes in cycles of 27 days, and he visits each of his wife once a month for one day. So Moon had no children by his 27 wives, but he has four sons by another wife named Manohara. But most famous son of the moon is the planet Mercury. A powerful race of Hindu kings are supposed to be the direct descendants of the moon god known as Chandravanshi. First king of this dynasty was Bharat, a legendary emperor of India. He conquered all of India, uniting it into a single entity. Bharat today is the official name of the way we say Bharat today is the official name of the Republic of India, and later Pandavas and Kauravas were born in this dynasty. Names mentioned for Hindus in Hindu mythology are Amalendu, that is stainless clean, Chandra, glittering and shining, Divyendu, divine spark, then Divijendra, that is twice born, Himanshu, snow covered, Mayank, deer marked, Nishant, lord of the night. Then we have Nishikant, lover of the night, Rakesh, ruler of the day of full moon, Shashank, natural satellite, Shashi, hair-like, Soma, the cooling one, Sudhakar, source of nectar, and Sudhanshu, the drop of nectar. So, actually, if you listen to the story, what I have done is I have loved listening to these stories, reading about them, so much so that if even when the TV serials are made, which are made by some of our directors and they're made beautifully, I love listening to them because there's so much to learn about the planet from here. So, what are the basic astrological facts about the moon? Well, the gender of the moon is feminine. Moon is the karaka significator of the mind and the emotions. Moon as a relationship signifies the mother. The planetary cabinet status of the moon is the queen. Temperament of moon is fickle and changeable. Element governed by moon is water. Primary quality of the moon is serenity. The caste of the moon, they say, is Vaishya or a trader. The nature of moon is benefic when waxing. Otherwise, it says it's malefic. Directional strength of the moon is in the fourth house. The directional weakness of the moon is in the 10th house. Moon rules the zodiacal sign Cancer, and the zodiacal house is naturally the fourth house. The sign of exaltation of moon is Taurus. Sign of debilitation of moon is Scorpio. The detriment or weak sign of moon is Capricorn. Moon's friends are Sun and Mercury. Moon's enemies are none. Moon is neutral with Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And Moon's Dasha, the Mahadasha period, is for 10 years. Now, the direction ruled by the moon is northwest, whereas the season governed by moon is the rainy season. The metals are silver and the gemstone is pearl. So, what are the positive keywords for the moon? Sympathy, receptivity, protective, and good memory. Negative keywords are touchiness, worry, emotional instability, moodiness, and smothering love. Too much of love, too much of emotions. So, what are the professions that are governed by the moon? Well, employment. Now, if the moon is placed in your natal chart in your career house, then that time you can actually look into this professions. Employment in fields related to fluids, liquids, water, real estate, service industry, and public relation. The traders dealing in sugar, milk products, dairy farm, cloth manufacturers, and merchants. The sailors, fishermen, liquor dealers, brewery workers, nurses, midwives, domestic help, the poultry raisers, chinaware and glassware, manufacturers and industrialists can benefit, fruit and vegetable vendors or farmers, restaurant owners and workers, and even any kind of service industry you're in is going to be beneficial for you all. So, this is how you see the moon. Actually, these are the very brief tips, I would say, or the stories that I am sharing with you all, because it does make astrology much more interesting, and you come to know that how it has come into its being. Let me look into the questions if I can answer some of the questions. Okay. Somebody is asked, why is Sun enemy with Saturn, although Sun is the father of Saturn? Well, if you go further into the story, you will realize that Saturn Saturn had very rigid and stubborn views of his own, whereas Sun didn't have apparently. And Saturn is very disciplined, whereas Sun can be sometimes very emotional and harsh. So that is the kind of the story. Look back into the story. If I come with further details, probably I'll be able to answer your question. Then if the astrologer said 2 years, it was with the condition at that time of it's not final. Hard work and faith go a long way, go hard. Yes, of course. Finally, it is your resilience. Finally, it is like I always keep telling people that please start creating your own prophecies. These stories or the astrological placements actually are like a guiding light to you that this can happen. And if you work towards it, like when we talk about afflictions or when we talk about weaknesses or we talk about debilitation of planets, basically it means you're not aware of these strengths. You actually need to be aware of the strengths. Then you need a complete resilience to inculcate in yourself. If you can know your weakness and if you can work on those strengths, know your weakness through the planets, that okay, my Mercury is weak or my moon is weak or my sun is weak. Like I know that like if you see when I spoke about what is where is the sun weak, the sun is weak in Capricorn, and when I see my sun which is placed in Capricorn, I actually become very emotional. I don't have the inclination to ever say no. So I knew that I have to learn the art of saying no, and I have to say it very nicely, because if I save myself, will I be able to save others? So that's how knowing this is so important. Then another, we have a question, or we have a lot of questions actually. When will I get a job, health, and marriage settlement? Well, you need to get your natal chart made. In fact, I need to read that to exactly answer that question of yours. At this particular moment, since Moon and Pluto is basically being very heavy on me, I also took this topic out of stories and a lighter vein, so that it enables you all to understand where the Vedic astrology is talking from, and how actually they can be applied from a practical point of view when you know that the nature of a planet is such, and what is the conditioning. Okay, another went said, we have thank you, God bless you all, and so much of love that I sometimes get very overwhelmed. In fact, today, one of the reasons that I didn't cancel my connecting with you all is because I really, really needed to be happy, and you guys do make me very happy, because connecting with you and sharing my own thoughts with you all is my way of distracting the self from the heavy energies. Because the moment you start doing what you're passionate about, that is where you can release yourself of the heavy energies that are bound to follow you for the next month. Now we have, when is my marriage and current? Okay, we again, that's a natal chart question. Somebody has written, can there be anything good in my life? Of course, things can be good. It is never a question that things cannot be good. It's just a period where you need to know what is your weakness and why have things been going wrong in your life. Once you realize that, you rectify that part of yours. It's very easy to blame that things around me are not happening good. The question here, I would say, am I able to adapt to the situations what are happening? If I'm not able to adapt to the situation, what are the things that I need to change? Like when I started speaking about Sun and Mercury, and I'm telling you all, even though the careers involved with it, I spoke in the beginning that this is a period, or this is a time where you have to utilize it. See, are you in the profession that you're passionate about? Are you enjoying your work? If you're not enjoying your work or you're not passionate, you have to think twice. Do you need a change of career? Or first ask your self the question, what do you want to do in life? Then answer how you are going to achieve it. Then also answer why do you want to do it, and things definitely will be good for you. So finally, coming to that, I am sure the kind of overwhelming response that I have got. And again, at the cost of repeating myself, I am going to say you'll be really happy to note that eventually my official School of Astrology, my way, I have started my own School of Astrology program, wherein I am teaching my way, that is Dolly Manghat's way of astrological learnings. You could visit my website to apply for the course. The evaluation of the applications are in process as the teachings or the classes start from 8th of May 2020. And I once again want to tell you all that having been in this profession for so long, I have developed my own methodology. That once we exactly know the definition of the planets and what are the positions that are denoting, we can not only read our own chart, but also help our friends and family. And if your stars or your intuitions or your sixth sense, you're listening to it very carefully and really intuition say, then perhaps you could also become an astrologer for the as a guide to the other people. Because remember, in life, purity of intent is very, very important. So if you can improvise on your own lives, so can you improvise for others too. Last but not the least, for any further information and intimations, you're requested to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Trust me, it will always be beneficial for your well being, as self awareness leads to what you make of it. Till we connect next on the coming Monday, which would be, we'll talk about the other two planets on the 27th. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy. God bless you all.